speaking of applying pressure, we know that the American women have done just that at the World Cup. They're looking to win an unprecedented third straight title. Should they be considered favorites to do so?
I think so. I think the three-peat is pending. I think that they won the last 2 World Cups. This is a dangerous U.S. side. Also, for me, this is they're 4-time winners as well. Like they know how to breed success. And whether the thing with the U.S., we were talking about this, Jess, even if they don't play their best, if they're on their B- for the day, it's still good enough to beat most teams. So it's just about the run that they have and just showing up in big moments. And I think when you're looking at the front line, Alyssa Thompson, you have Lynn Williams, Trinity Rodman, all helping an Alex Morgan who has 200 appearances for the U.S. She knows how to score. They know how to play this game. So for me, they have to be front runners.
Yeah, and I agree with that. You know, I think one of the things that's really admirable about the U.S. side is that there's so much depth, and you see players like Thompson who are so young, Smith, Rodman, they're all coming up, and you know, you don't see that level dwindle when they step on the pitch, which is amazing to see because that doesn't happen all the time in most cases. And, you know, they are very capable. And like Jordan said, I think what separates the teams that win big titles and the ones that can't quite cut it. Sorry, words are hard sometimes. It's that even when you're not giving your best performance, you are able to get it done. They will find a way to get it in the back of the net, whether it's the ugliest goal possible, but they find a way to win. And I think the U.S. really has that. They have that resilience, and they've showed it time and time again. So I do think that they've earned that honor to be considered once again. So yeah, I do think the U.S. has a chance.
There's a history of winning there, right, Riley? And to your point there, Jess, I mean, they know how to dig deep. That the culture is there, and even though, you know, Megan Rapinoe will probably play a bit role, Alex Morgan definitely will not. You have that veteran experience as well that can bring a lot of these young players along. Are you kind of on that same page of the Americans being considered favorites?
Yeah, I am. I think I agree with what the other two have said. They have the history, they have the experience, but I also think this is one of the strongest sides that America has put forth in a long time. This team is full of great talent, including the veterans like Rapinoe. But like we mentioned earlier, like people like Alyssa Thompson, Trinity Rodman, they're coming up and they're predicted to be some of the best players in the world, and they're getting this experience at such a young age. There's not a team that they could field that I don't think can take on another team, even the top 5 head to head, and challenge for 3 points. So I would be very surprised to see them drop points and not move on to the very end of this tournament. But it is the World Cup, and we can expect anything in this World Cup like we did in the men's side. So anything can happen. And I'm not putting all of my eggs in the basket of the US, but I'm very confident that you should see a good result out of them.
Hey, this is why we watch sports, because we don't know the ending. But here's the thing. If somebody were to challenge the Americans, Jess, who do you think it could be?
I'm going with England. You know, I think that England, you know, I just spoke about the depth of the U.S. I think England is another team that has tremendous depth. They have so much individual talent, and when you put that talent all together, it's just an absolute force that you don't really want to be on the other side of. You know, they have players like Walsh and Stanway. They also have players like Russo, James. They have all these players that come in and, you know, they're able to make such a big difference on that pitch. Arguably, I think they have, you know, the strongest front 6 in the world right now, no matter who is on the pitch. And that's a big statement, but I do really believe that, and I think that, you know, they can definitely challenge the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, they're the reigning European champions. We know Leah Williamson. That's one of the players as well, suffering from an ACL injury. Beth Mead, too, who was the Golden Boot winner and player of the tournament at the European Championships. She, too, is out. But England still feels like they can be most definitely a threat. Who are you choosing?
Ooh, I'm choosing the team that lost to England in the last Euros, Germany.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
The Germans, the Deutsch. I have to choose them just because, for me, they won in 03 and they won in 07 as well. But we talk about a team that breeds success or has winners, and that is this German side. 8 out of the last 13 Euros, they've won. So this is a European powerhouse. Now just going to a World Cup, I also think in Group H, that plays a factor into why I believe they can go far, is because they have a group of Colombia, South Korea, Morocco. I feel like they're gonna win that, come in first in that group, then maybe play Jamaica in the quarterfinals, or it could be a France, or it could be, who else is
Jamaica's in there.
France, Brazil, Jamaica. So one of those 3, if they can win that quarterfinals, they're kind of they're heading to a nice semifinals. And I just feel like they can make a run. I just have that vibe.
Riley, are you going to introduce a third team, or are you going to break a tie here?
I will break a tie here. I'm on board with Jess. I think
Oh, come on!
Get that.
She broke you. Hey, you broke her nose. Come on, my
But
side.
we love each other. It's
That is
fine.
crazy.
Clearly, yeah. Okay.
bonded just like the surgeon bonded Jess's nose back together. No, but in all fairness, I believe that England have one of the strongest sides. They're on a really good run right now, basically unbeaten since Serena Wigman came in, and that's quite a success story. The team itself is full of superstars who are all predominantly playing in England, and they're at the top of their game in the WSL with a couple overseas. And you have the likes of Lucy Bronze, Kira Walsh in Barcelona, and then with Georgia Stanway in Bayern. You have that English talent, but now with an effect of a little bit more European flair. And I think the experience that team has is unspeakable, honestly. Like playing against them week in and week out, watching them and studying them myself as I've been playing in England, some of those players are absolutely amazing. And like Jess said, the depth is unheard of. They can place any team and go head to head just like the US can. So very confident in them as well. And I'd like to see them field some of their young players like Russo and Alatoon as well, because they bring in a different flair, they bring in a different energy, and it's exciting to watch them, and they're creative on the ball. So very hopeful for them as well.
Hold on a second. I think Jordan has a
Yeah,
comeback.
I was raising my hand. Riley, from your expertise, and I'm going to ask both of you ladies this as well, who do you feel is the dark horse of this tournament? Because I ask people this all the time, but I want to know your
Excuse
opinion.
me, I'm the host here.
Yeah,
Why
I
are
just had
you
a question.
going rogue
I
right
felt
now?
it in my knee, so I was like, yo, I'm just going to do it. Did you have that question lined up?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But now you're just
Can you
taking
forgive
my
me?
job.
Do you have a dark horse for the tournament?
Riley, do you have a dark horse?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Australians, the host country, are a very strong team. Recently, they took on England on England soil, and they did come out with 3 points. And you can argue the match wasn't as perfect and clean on both ends, but that's a big statement going into a home World Cup. And I think having the stands filled, their own families, their spectators in the stands, it's going to create an environment that they're going to thrive off of, and you use that to your advantage. And not every team can do that, but the Australians seem to do that every time matches are played there. So those would be my prediction of a dark horse to get further in the tournament. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Spain kind of creep in, even though they're not as strong with their 9 or 10 players that are out right now, but I can see them stepping up to the plate as well.
All right, Jess, how about you?
Well, I agree. I think Australia is a dark horse, but at the same time, I consider them a really solid team. So I wouldn't be that surprised if they did do well. I'm also a big fan of Sweden. I've been a big fan of them. I think that they're a team that works really hard. They're very good in possession, defensively, very hard to break down. So I do think that they're a squad that's very capable of very capable of kind of coming in and potentially putting up a good fight and making it all the way, because they do kind of have that underdog mentality. And at times, that can bring you all the way. So
yeah, it's hard. I mean, they've been to the final at the last 2 Olympics as well. Of course, that's who
Exactly.
Canada beat in Tokyo. So I think that they are a strong team. Wouldn't be surprised. I can throw in a real dark horse, maybe, perhaps.
So these weren't real dark horses?
No, they're real dark horses.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if I was going to give you a hot take, how about
There
that?
it is. Yeah, say it with your
Hot
chest.
take.
Come.
Maybe I would say Norway. Didn't they made the quarters in 2019 without Ada Hegerberg, one of the best players in the world? She's back. We know why she missed 2019, the ultimate fight. She was saying for equal pay. She's like, I am not going to represent this national team whatsoever. Crushed her own dreams not to go to the World Cup, to prove a point. She was coming off a Ballon d'Or victory. She was the first ever to receive that award in 2018. She's back. And she has not stopped scoring goals, P.S. So I wonder, Norway, by the way, you asked the question, who's your dark horse?
I mean, I'm conflicted just because the 2 dark horses I have are both in Canada's group. I think Nigeria can actually make a run. I think they can get out of the group, and I think you just never know in quarterfinals.
How about the ultimate dark horse? Canada. How about that? The Olympic champions. Throw them in there. Let's go.